Good afternoon and welcome everyone. My name is Eva Malona. I'm the Executive Director of Massachusetts Immigrant and Refugee Advocacy Coalition, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to MIRA today. I want to apologize for the conditions of this press conference. There is construction going on across the hall, so apologies and please bear with us. But I am delighted and very grateful to have here with us Senator Markey, our Attorney General Maura Healey, our Mayor Walsh, and our colleagues from the Irish International Immigration Center, and DACA, Diana Ortiz, who is a DACA recipient and a graduate of Harvard. And we are here today standing together in response to the announcement by the Attorney General session to end the DACA program. Our hearts ache for our dreamers today. We want every DACA beneficiary to know that we stand with you, and we will work relentlessly to ensure that you are safe and then you have the resources that you need. This administration has been very anti-immigrant and very anti-refugee. And now, just days after defying due process to pardon the sheriff, President Trump wants us to believe that he is acting out of respect for the law. But this is pure political pandering at the expense of 800,000 innocent, hard-working people. It is also an unwise public policy that goes against American values. DACA, as you know, 97% of beneficiaries are employed in our schools. They're paying taxes, they're contributing to our economy. Ending it would cost an estimated 700,000 jobs and $2 billion a year in tax revenue. It will force highly productive, skilled, talented young people to be going under and impoverishing our communities. This is why DACA has overwhelming support among employers, educators, political leaders, faith leaders, and voters. The 6 months delay is to give Congress a chance to fix DACA legislatively. We certainly hope so. We call on President Trump to do the right thing. This is the time to show leadership, to work with both parties and leave the politics aside and focus on doing the right thing. We urge the President to live up to his words and support the legislation, the DREAM Act or the BRIDGE Act, to provide leadership and pass DREAM Act to provide a path that is safe for young people who are already part of our fabric and part of our economy. Within Massachusetts, we will push harder for state policies that make everyone feel safe and welcome, regardless of their country of origin. We will work hard at MIRA to ensure that dreamers have clear, reliable information to guide their decision-making, as well as free legal advice and referrals. We will not give up, and we will not lose hope. We will stand with nearly 8,000 dreamers in our Commonwealth and do everything in our power to protect them. Thank you so very much. It is my delight to introduce to you Senator Markey, and also remember that he had a decisive vote when DACA passed in the Senate a couple of years ago. So thank you, Senator, for being here and for your leadership.
Thank you, Ava, and thank you for your fantastic work, your leadership, making Massachusetts the model for the rest of the country. Our great mayor here, Boston is the most receptive city for immigrants in the country, and that's because of the leadership of our great mayor, Marty Walsh, and the best Attorney General in the United States, who has taken Donald Trump to court on every single one of his actions that undermine the constitutionality of our laws and act as an immoral force within our society. So it is just fantastic to be here with her as well. To be here with Diana Ortiz, a dreamer with a Harvard degree. Huh? That's really what it's all about, what is opened up as possibilities for young people in our country. And with Ronnie as well. Thank you from the Irish Immigrant Center. So we thank you, Maura, because you do God's work, bringing families together, keeping families together, ensuring that our immigrant families continue to be a vital part of the fabric of life here in Massachusetts. Gracias por todos. You are everything to all of these families. We thank you for all of the work which you do on a daily basis. The Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, or DACA program, has created security and opportunity for young immigrants around our country. But now the futures of some 800,000 young people, 8,000 of them here in Massachusetts, have been needlessly put in jeopardy because President Trump feels the need to keep an ill-considered campaign promise to his right wing and break another one to the best and the brightest of our young people. And because the House Republicans have refused to debate and hold a vote on comprehensive immigration reform legislation, our immigration system remains tragically broken. In light of this Republican opposition, President Obama used his authority under the law to implement DACA and other safety, security, dignity, respect, and opportunity to the more than 1 million young immigrants who play, study, work, and live next door to us every single day. So what does a repeal of DACA mean for us? It means we will not be able to help grow our economy. Many of these dreamers have started their own businesses and are beginning their careers. Over the course of the past 5 years of the program, 91% of dreamers have found gainful employment. Removing DACA recipients from the workforce will cost $460 billion in GDP loss over a decade and would cut contributions to Medicare and Social Security by $24.6 billion over that decade. It means that if Congress fails to act, that we will not have law enforcement focus on targeting drug dealers, human traffickers, and the real criminals in our society. These young people are not the so-called bad hombres that Donald Trump said that he was going to focus on. But most tragically, it means we won't be able to provide certainty to countless young people and families across Massachusetts and the country. Instead of going to sleep tonight knowing that they will be able to live their lives in peace and plan for the future, they are left again with uncertainty, vulnerable to deportation, and unable to work legally in our country. This is heartbreaking. It is unjust, and it is just plain evil. We should not punish these young people who have no other home than the United States of America. We should not go back on the word we gave when we told these young people to come out of the shadows. These dreamers are engineers, police officers, teachers, students, many in our great Massachusetts universities, like Diane. They are our best and our brightest, and are making the most of the opportunities that the United States has always provided for immigrant families. Massachusetts has always believed that no matter who you are or where you come from, you can achieve the American dream. We understand we are a nation of immigrants, and our economy and our security are stronger because of the immigrant families who have enriched our nation since its founding. It is a new level of inhumanity for President Trump to further divide the country by repealing DACA. Donald Trump is no better than Pontius Pilate by having Attorney General Jeff Sessions make the announcement today. I hope he recognizes the cruelty that repealing DACA will inflict on innocent young people and their families. So if President Trump takes away these protections, then Congress must act. Congress must pass the Bipartisan Bridge Act now that would continue to protect DACA recipients and offer them a path to permanent legal status. Congress should also pass, as Ava said, the DREAM Act, so that individuals who were brought here at a young age can earn citizenship by serving in the military or pursuing higher education. And ultimately, the House of Representatives finally must debate and vote on a comprehensive immigration reform. I have long supported a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million immigrants who are living here in the shadows. It is time for us to pass that law. This decision from the Trump administration will not stand. We will not let it. With Congress back in session this week, Republicans should prepare for a political juggernaut of voices and families and calls and protests demanding protections for the dreamers. I pledge to you my support. I will continue to fight every single day on the Senate floor until we pass the legislation that reverses the Trump decision to harm these young people in our country. We will protect them. We are going to have an historic debate on the floor of the United States Senate and the House in this next month, and it will be one that's going to hear millions of voices demanding that the Republicans stand up to their own president and pass this law. So let me now turn and recognize, as I did earlier, the single best Attorney General in the United States, Maura Healey.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you very much, Senator Markey, and thank you for your leadership now and in the weeks and months to come on this incredibly important issue. I want to also acknowledge our Mayor, Marty Walsh, who has been a leader nationally in advocating for our immigrant communities, particularly during this time of the Trump administration. I'm honored to be here today with Eva Malona and all of the wonderful folks at MIRA who have worked so hard on behalf of immigrant and refugee communities around our state. And I also want to thank Cardinal Sean O'Malley, who has been so outspoken in his support for our immigrant communities. Together we wrote a piece urging President Trump to do the right thing. I'm sorry that our prayers weren't answered today, but I know we'll both show resolve, and we'll all together show resolve in the days and the weeks ahead to make sure that this government, our government, the American government, does what is right by its people. Let us be clear. This is a shameful decision. Today, I think about the 800,000 young people all across this great country, 20,000 of them in Massachusetts, who have been betrayed by President Trump. Here's the thing that President Trump doesn't understand about dreamers. Dreamers are Americans. They may not be citizens, but they sure are Americans. They've grown up in our neighborhoods. They've attended our schools. They've found jobs. They've served this country in our military. They've started businesses, contribute to the economy, pay taxes. They have done everything asked of them and more. I think about the young people that I've met, like Isabel. Isabel was brought to this country by her parents at the age of 8 years old. She's done everything right. She went to public schools, worked hard, graduated from high school, went on to college here in Massachusetts. Once DACA became available to her, she even became an RA, a resident assistant, in her college dormitory. She's now gone on to work in the public interest. Her dream someday is to go to law school. This is her home. America is her home. For Isabel and so many dreamers, America is the only home they've ever known. Our government made a promise to Isabel and other young people like her. Now President Trump has broken that promise. Today I watched back in my office as our United States Attorney General announced that the DACA program was illegal, unconstitutional, and needs to be ended. He told us it's about the rule of law. I am tired of the hypocrisy, I am tired of the lies, and I am tired of the misinformation. Let me tell you about the rule of law. DACA has been challenged in court and has been left standing. And more importantly, these are young people who are doing everything right and playing by the rules and following the rule of law. But today, with cameras rolling, Jeff Sessions lied to the American people once again. And Jeff Sessions and President Trump ignored voices from across this political spectrum, from across this country, clergy, business leaders, congressional leaders, all desperately urging the administration to do the right thing. You see, we all know that DACA has been good for our communities and good for our economy. There are problems with our immigration system. We need comprehensive immigration reform. But the one program that has been working so well is DACA. At this point, my question to the President and to our U.S. Attorney General is, whose side are you on? What does it say about us if we turn our backs on these young people, on these Americans? What does it say about us if we play politics with their future? Attacking the Dreamers isn't just a betrayal of our families, it's a betrayal of our most basic values, about our shared American values and the promise of the American dream. Here's the bottom line for every dreamer watching today. No matter what, no matter where you are, we are not going to turn our backs on you. To Speaker Ryan, Leader McConnell, and others, we need you to know you need to act right now to protect these young people, to do what is right. We need to know right now if you will pass a new law or if this is just going to be yet another broken promise. There is too much at stake, too many lives hanging in the balance. We can't stand by and watch as our communities are targeted and our people are marginalized. In the coming days, I will be joining with other state attorneys general from around the country and filing suit to defend DACA. We are going to court to defend DACA and to fight for these dreamers. I also ask for the support of everyone out there in Massachusetts, our agencies, our business leaders, our companies, clergy, neighborhood organizations, community groups. There are ways to get involved. There are ways to lift your voices and be part of this effort. Let's make sure that Congress hears us. And we're going to need your support and help in the time ahead as we pursue all legal strategies. We're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of dreamers. And more than anything, we are Americans. I believe, and you believe, in liberty, justice, and equality for all. This is fundamentally about the most basic American bargain. Where our President and our U.S. Attorney General have failed, it's up to and the responsibility of the American people to make sure that the right thing is done. So we'll go forward with that in mind and work to make sure that we do right by dreamers and the American dream in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, General. I want to thank you for the great work you've been doing. I want to thank you also, Senator, for the work that you've been doing for us down in Washington. I know that it has not been easy these last 9 months that feel like 9 years in a lot of ways to a lot of us. Ava and Mira, thank you. Thank you for allowing us and having us here today in these beautiful cramped quarters. We love it. Diana, thank you. It's great. It's an honor to be standing with you as well today. And to all the folks that are here, and there's a lot more in the back of the hall. This Thursday, we have kids that are going to be walking into our Boston Public Schools for the first time this year, 2 days from today, 2 days from now. It should be a time of joy. It should be a time of hope. It should be excitement in the air. Instead, this week will be a time of fear for many, fear that will cloud the ability to learn and learn in our classrooms. This is the second time that our young people are walking into school with this fear, because the day after the election in November of 2016, they walked into school with the same fear. The president, you've heard this before, is betraying 800,000 dreamers across the United States of America. This is not enforceable. This is persecution. It's targeting of people, groups of people, not because of what they did, but because of who they are. And who are they? these young people that we're talking about. Young people brought here as children, brought to the United States as children. Here for over 10 years without a problem. There's no issues with these young people. They've done all the right things that they were supposed to do, things probably what their parents wanted them to do because they wanted to fulfill that American dream. They belong to our community in many cases, are the pride of our community. I got a text last night from somebody that says the last valedictorians in the city of Boston, if you go through the list, since I've been mayor since 2014, but beyond that, many of them are dreamers that are the valedictorians of our schools in Boston. And those valedictorians went on to schools like Harvard, MIT, BC, BU, Northeastern, and so many other great schools here in Boston and around the country. So they belong to our communities. 23,000 are eligible in Massachusetts and nearly 10,000 already in the program. 9 out of 10 are in Greater Boston. Dreamers are every bit American as I am, as anybody in front of me today is, or anyone who's going to watch this broadcast potentially. Or these dreamers are as American as Jeff Sessions and Donald Trump. This is worse than a broken promise. This is betrayal. It's betrayal of a promise to these young people. It's betrayal of America, the ideas of America and the well-being of America. It will harm our economy, and you've heard this from the senator already, losing hundreds of thousands of productive workers when we can least afford it. It could be more also irresponsible. In Boston, as the Attorney General said, we're not backing down an inch. We will fight back, and we already are fighting back. We are committed to our young people. We are committed to protecting immigrant families in our city the way we would protect any of our families in our city, because they are our family. We're going to be working with the Attorney General to bring a strong response, legal response. Whatever we have to do in the city, we are going to work shoulder to shoulder with the Attorney General and with the United States Senate and the Senate and the congressional delegation. We will work also to support the DREAM Act, as well as comprehensive reform, immigration reform. The Mayor's Office of Immigrant Advancement will continue to provide information and support. Alejandro St. Yann is here with us today. And we're encouraging anyone to please reach out. If you are concerned or you have questions, reach out to our office. Call 311. Our office is a safe place for you to call. Come to our immigration clinics. We're going to be exploring every day how to expand the tools and offer opportunity for more people. Superintendent Chang, who's here with me today, and I have pledged to protect Boston Public School students, along with all students in our city. The same holds true for every single city, agency, and service, including the Boston Police Department. I want to say to every immigrant in our city, especially today the Dreamers, immigration status plays no role in how we treat our residents in the city of Boston. We do not discriminate. We welcome. We protect. We embrace immigrants because we are all immigrants. This city is for all of us, and that's what we mean. I'm going to bring up Roxanne in a second. This action today by the White House, and these actions consistently by the White House, I'm not sure what the right words are, but as I put on my pin today, my American flag pin, I thought about the men and women who lost blood for this freedom. And to see two people like Donald Trump and Jeff Sessions run their own agenda across this country, and the embarrassment that they're causing us around this world is a very sad statement. Now, that's not the political thing to say, and I shouldn't say that. But I can say this honestly to the White House. We don't want you here in Boston. We don't want any part of you in Boston. We're doing perfectly fine without you. I think it's a sad statement that the President of the United States of America and the Attorney General of the United States of America are sending messages out to so many good young people. Many of those young people, the dreamers that we're talking about right now, are fighting for this country, fighting with their uniform on under this flag, and proud of that. So, again, I want to thank you for being here today, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Roxana. 32BJ, I see you, 32BJ.
Good afternoon. My name is Roxanne Rivera. I'm a daughter of immigrants from El Salvador. I'm also the vice president of the Service Employees International Union, Local 32BJ. We represent 163,000 workers, largely immigrants, that span 162 countries, including 18,000 in the state of Massachusetts. Deporting 1 million young people doesn't do a single thing to create a job. It does not make America any better for anyone. It only harms our economy, and it erodes the values that hold our nation together. President Trump has betrayed the dreamers. He has betrayed his own supporters by falsely convincing them that their problems will go away by destroying the lives of immigrants. We call on our own governor, Governor Baker, to join other elected officials in doing all that he can do to protect the lives of immigrants in our own state. And we ask that the Congress pass a legislative fix that does not is not used as bait to win other anti-immigrant measures, so that the dreamers and other immigrants have an opportunity for the American dream. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Ronnie Miller from the Irish International Immigration Center.
Thank you, Roxanne. My name is Ronnie Miller, the director of the Irish International Immigrant Centre. I'm an immigrant from Ireland also, and our centre is a welcome centre for over 3,000 families from 120 different countries. So I'm speaking on behalf of the centre, but also on behalf of the community sector, the community-based organisations in Boston, to say that today's announcement is not a compassionate announcement. It's not coming from a place of compassion, as was claimed earlier this morning, but is a cold and calculated and cruel announcement. And I want to say that the Irish International Immigrant Centre stands with all dreamers today, along with so many other community-based organisations across Greater Boston. We will be there for you. We will provide legal consultations. We have social workers that are there to stand with all young people, all young immigrants in Greater Boston. As the business community has repeatedly said, this does not make any economic sense. And we just want to add our voice to that this is a cruel announcement today. So on behalf of the community sector, I want to say that we are there for dreamers. We're in this for the long haul. This is a long strategy, and that we will remain hopeful. And I just thank all of the leaders here today for your support. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yann Fedone, and I am a DACA recipient. It is an honor to be standing here with such courageous leaders. Thank you for all of the support that you've given us, Attorney General, Senator, and Mayor, and everyone here. Thank you, Mira, for bringing us together to be showing solidarity and allyship for my community. Today, I stand before you as one of the people who will be directly impacted by the ramifications of the announcement today. On behalf of my community, we knew that DACA was temporary. When we signed up with a little bit of fear and skepticism to whether or not we would be targeted by the government, we knew that DACA was a temporary program, and yet it allowed us to take a breath of fresh air to, for once in our lives, to be able to work without the fear of being deported, to be able to travel within the United States without the fear of being deported. And when I got DACA in 2013, it allowed me to work on campus. It allowed me to get a little bit of money so that I can pursue my education. It also allowed me to qualify for certain programs that I didn't qualify. I was able to, for the first time in my life at age 21, get my driver's license and drive without the fear of being stopped by a police officer. It opened up opportunities that I never knew would have been there. And though I've lived with DACA for 5 years, my heart aches for those who never even qualified for such a program, of undocumented youth who are still and continue to live under the shadows. The announcement was something that truly ached our community, and there are many youth who are prepared to fight and defend DACA. We are one of the most resilient people that you would ever meet. Our parents are the original dreamers. We didn't come here with the dream. Initially, our parents wanted, for me, my mom came when I was 6 years old. Her dream was that I would have a better childhood than the one that she had in Mexico. Ever since then, I've been working so hard in school because it was the only thing that I could control. I couldn't control our poverty. I couldn't control our family problems, but I could control how many A's I got in school. I could take control of my education. I could strive as high as I could, and I was able to be one of the fortunate students who would get a full ride scholarship to Pomona College. I majored in history. I know more American history than the average American. I love this country. It is my home. I've been here for almost 20 years, and my dream is to become a citizen. My dream is to vote. My dream is to be a part of this society. Many of us undocumented youth want to serve. We are in industries that are service-oriented. Everything that we do, for many of us, it's for this society. It is to improve not only just immigrants, it is to improve the lives of Americans as well. We have such a heart for this country, and we only wish for this country to see us for what we are. We are Americans by heart, even if we're not American by law. And so my call is for the administration, it is for the Congress, to have the political courage to truly make something long-term. If DACA will be resigning, which is a shame, we ask that there would be something in place, because otherwise 800,000 youth like me would be again undocumented and without any alternative, will be pushed into the immigrant labor force, working jobs that our parents have to work. We have master's degrees, we have bachelor's degrees, we have PhDs that will not be able to be implemented because of the lack of a 9-digit social security number. And we ask Congress to have the political courage to truly make something permanent, to pass the DREAM Act, to pass comprehensive immigration reform, and to make an impact in the lives of immigrants. Otherwise, day after day that DACA is not in place, day after day that we don't have the DREAM Act or comprehensive immigration reform, we immigrants bear the burden of what it means to live in the shadows, what it means to have a life on limbo, where you wake up and you can't even plan 2 years ahead because you don't know what's going to happen. When you wake up and you're waiting for immigration to process your DACA paperwork, waiting every single day by the mailbox to get a work permit that would allow you to be able to accept that job offer, that would allow you to be able to tell your employer that you are eligible to work. I have friends who are nurses. I have friends who are public school teachers. I have friends who are lawyers who will lose their job if they don't have their work permit. When their DACA permit expires, they will no longer be able to go to their job, to tend to the sick, to teach the children. They won't be able to attend because their work permit will be expired. We cannot afford to lose that many workers in this country. And so we are asking for something to be done about the situation. Otherwise, we'll be once again unable to take control of our lives. We'll keep fighting as a community. I understand that Dreamers are one part of our community, but we have so many other members of our community. Our parents, our family members, the undocumented youth who weren't able to access higher education because it's expensive and it's hard. We have such a diverse community, and we are all united and ready to make a stand, to be resilient. We won't take no for an answer. When the door closes, a window opens. That is a mentality that has allowed us to survive. We are survivors, and we are resourceful, and so we will not give up. I am not hopeless. I do have faith. I believe in God. I pray daily, and my hope is for our community, for the immigrant community, to take comfort in knowing that we have allies, that we have each other, that we will persevere, and that we will not give up. And so I ask you to defend DACA and to know that we are here to stay. Thank you so much.
And just to the press in the back of the room, Diana just gave that speech from her heart without one note in front of her. And you talk about passion of being an American. I'd like to see Jeff Sessions try anything like that.
My name is Felipe Bellini. I am formerly undocumented. I'm also formerly documented. I received deferred action for childhood arrivals under President Obama, and I am blessed to have recently, the day before the election, have received my green card. I am in a privileged position to be here today. And in that privilege, I would like to thank all of our elected officials, including Representative Cullinan, who's here as well, for the great work that you all do supporting our communities. But what I really want to highlight to you today is the word opportunity. I had a dream in front of the State House, and I said this out loud when we had the debates around the anti-immigrant amendments that the legislature was trying to pass a few years ago, and the student immigrant movement and Mira and others were standing day in and day out, vigil there. And we had a press conference and a brief rally, and somebody asked me, what would you do if the DREAM Act passed? I turned around and I thought to myself, if, that's an interesting word, what is the opportunity of if? And I took the microphone when I was asked to speak, and I said, not if, but when the DREAM Act passes, I will come to work in the State House. The DREAM Act didn't pass that year. It failed by a few votes. It didn't move forward. Then along came President Obama with deferred action for childhood arrivals. And it gave me the opportunity to accomplish that dream. As soon as I gained that legal authority to be able to have that 9-digit number that allows for me to serve my community as I had always dreamed, I took the chance. And I was very happy that a state senator in Massachusetts from Jamaica Plain, Senator Cheng Diaz, gave me the opportunity to fulfill that dream of mine and work inside the State House, work on behalf of our communities, to be one of the first DACA recipients, formerly undocumented immigrants, working inside of our government in the state legislature, trying to do our best to serve not just an undocumented population, serve all. The message that was spoken here is very much right. We're serving everywhere, whether it be in a restaurant or whether it be in the armed forces or inside of our state houses. We're here to serve. We're here to protect. We're here to ensure that our families, our well-being are defended. There's no difference between you and I. There may be a difference of where I was born. Sure, I was born in Brazil. Sure, I was brought to the United States at the age of 12. Went to Imana Barnes, East Boston, went to Latin Academy, had to drop out of college because I could not afford to move forward in my life. But deferred action for childhood arrival gave me that one word, opportunity. That's all we're looking for. We can thrive given the opportunity. We can fight with or without the opportunity. We've built resilience. We've built strength. We've built dedication to ourselves and to those around us. So no, we're not hopeless today. It's sad. It's devastating. It's heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. But we're going to get up, and we're going to beat this horse. It's a Trojan horse that's come right up to our door, and we're not going to accept it. We're going to fight back, and we're going to win, because we have people with us, and we are together in unison, one. E pluribus unum. Out of many, one. This is what we represent. This action today does not represent the American values that I grew up learning. I wasn't born with the values. I learned to love them, as many, as all in our communities have learned, regardless of party. We have that one thing in common. And we want to be able to thrive and have the opportunity in order to thrive. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you so very much. Allow me to thank our powerful speakers for their thoughtful remarks, for being here, and each and every one of you. This concludes the remarks, but we're open for any questions that you have. And also there is another rally being held at 4 p.m. at the City Hall Plaza. More community members, an opportunity to be in solidarity and support dreamers. But, you know, it's open for questions. Thank you so very much.
Senator Markey, Paul Ryan called this, called DACA, a clear abuse of executive authority. And it sounds like, you have President Obama who instituted DACA, now President Trump is taking it away. Is this sort of Congress falling down on the job, and what should Congress do next?
Well, my hope is that Speaker Ryan does not adhere to the Hastert rule. Under the rule that the Republicans have been operating within the House of Representatives since Speaker Hastert is that a majority of the majority, that is, a majority of Republicans must agree with the policy. So that has been a limitation on John Boehner. It's been a limitation on Paul Ryan in order to get the support of a majority of Republicans in the House of Representatives for policies like this. That's why we haven't had immigration reform, by the way, because there is no majority of the majority in the House of Representatives. It already passed the Senate, but it can't move through the House. So my hope is that Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell are now going to work together, and that Donald Trump will be a uniter and not a divider of the Congress, that we will come together as Democrats and Republicans to pass this law as quickly as possible to take the cloud off of the shoulders of Diana and the other 8,000 in our state and 800,000 across the country. So I have a little bit of hope that we might be working on an issue that finally does have Democrats and Republicans working together, but it still is going to be fought by many on the far right wing of the Republican Party, and that will be the center of the battle.
And to get to that place in 6 months, do you expect that might happen? Are you confident, I guess?
My hope?
Rather than hopeful.
You know, over the Boston Public Library is the insignia that says that the best defense of a nation is the education of its people. You heard Mayor Walsh talk about the valedictorians, the very smart young people here in Boston. Well, they are our greatest defense, these young people. They are our future. So my hope would be that the defense bill is coming up in the next 2 weeks on the Senate floor, and that we attach this protection for the DACA kids to the defense bill. Because these 800,000 young kids are right now in our Army, in our Navy, in our Air Force, in our schools, in our workplace. They are protecting our nation. They are our best defense for the future. My hope is that we can amend the defense bill in the next 2 weeks with a protection for these young people.
Attorney General Healey, there have been other attorney generals who have been fighting DACA in court. Can you talk specifically about what your next step will be as you look into pursuing legal action?
Sure. I have been in close conversation over the last weeks and months with my colleagues about this issue. This is an issue that affects so many people in all states across this country, and that's why you'll see action jointly from all of us very, very soon in stepping up to defend DACA and to protect the rights and the interests of these dreamers, those who have received DACA protection. As I said earlier, DACA was challenged in court, so I found it interesting to hear from our Attorney General today, Jeff Sessions, that DACA was unconstitutional. It's never been found unconstitutional, and in fact, it was tested in court, and it survived. There's a legal issue with this, but there's a moral issue with this, and I think that the moral issue with this and the issue for our country couldn't be better put than how it was put by Diana and Felipe this morning. That's what this is about. That's why this is an issue that, while we will take action in court and use whatever recourse is available there, it's more important now that everybody around this country, and certainly here in Massachusetts, step up and fulfill a call to action on behalf of these young people, because fundamentally it goes to the essence of who we are as Americans and who we are as a country.
Specifically, which other attorney generals you're working with, and which court you might try to bring this to?
Well, there have been obviously my colleagues in California, New York, and Washington, New Mexico, among others, have been very active and outspoken about this. I will tell you, in working with so many of them, one thing that really, really troubles us is that we have yet to see any action on a jobs bill, on an infrastructure plan, on access to health care. I had to take action and sue the Trump administration here to protect access to health care, to protect our clean energy economy. That's why we've taken on the EPA. I had to sue the Trump administration in order to protect students here who have been the victim of predatory loans that now Betsy DeVos and the administration don't want to make them whole on. So unfortunately, we've got a situation where the administration, instead of doing things affirmatively for the good of jobs and health care and the economy and the American people, continues to engage in actions that actually undermine and hurt our interests and the interests of people here in Massachusetts. Today is another example. It's a particularly shameful example because, as I say, it goes to the essence of who we are as a country. the foundation of this country and basic principles. And that's why today I think is so upsetting for so many of us. But as Felipe says, today's about going forward, and that's why you're going to see college, university presidents, business leaders, all employers in the state. I just ask you to step up and answer this call for action, show support for a program that is working, a program that is American, and a program that is right.
What is the message that you are sending out to all those DACA holders here in Massachusetts that they are afraid to go back to work, or maybe that they are going to be deported?
I want to be really clear about this. You know that shortly after the election, I opened a hate crimes hotline because we were receiving reports of harassment against folks here in Massachusetts. Some of them, many of them, appeared to have been targeted because of their perceived immigrant status. Anybody who is the victim of retaliation, discrimination, or abuse because of a perceived immigrant status, I want you to report that to my office. A few months ago, my office issued legal guidance to all healthcare providers, community health centers, and hospitals, advising them of protections that are in place for immigrants and those who may not be documented. We had received calls in my office from schools that were concerned that parents weren't actually sending their children to school for fear of detention or deportation. So we similarly sent guidance from my office to schools, reminding them of what federal officials and agents are allowed to do and not do within the confines of a school. My message, and I think our message, has been to try to calm people and to tell them that, well, their president unfortunately does not seem to be with them. This government is with them, and this government will work collectively and collaboratively to take whatever actions are necessary to protect people. This is a matter of public health, and it's a matter of public safety. And so I'd encourage anyone with reports or concerns to certainly call my hotline and call my office.
Are you working with Governor Charles Baker in this issue?
I hope to be in the time to come. I think it's incredibly important that we do everything we can here in Massachusetts. Look at the actions of the mayor and how he has stepped up and really led the way. I'd like to see all of that from all leaders in government. I think it's really important. There are so many families, and I regularly bump into them during the course of the day, people who are working hard here in Massachusetts, people who are living their lives and raising their families and paying taxes and doing everything that is asked of them and more. They don't deserve to be in fear. They don't deserve to be living under the threat of deportation or unlawful detention. And I just think it's really important that we take all appropriate and legal and lawful steps to protect and take care of not just our dreamers, as Diana says, but of the many more from immigrant communities who are affected by really shameful and unlawful actions by our president and the U.S. Attorney General.
Can you talk about the legal arguments you might use to preserve DACA in court?
Well, we're going to save those for our briefings, as we always do. We're going to plead our case in court. But I will tell you, this is fundamentally about due process. This was a program where rights and protections were extended to those who had the courage and the wherewithal to step out and apply for those protections. As a result, they received Social Security numbers and driver's licenses and other things that enabled them to live productively and take advantage of opportunity. And so to have the rug pulled out from under them is concerning. Also, we're very concerned about the protection of that information and the potential misuse and abuse of the information of DACA recipients at this time by those in federal agencies across this country. So more on that, and we'll certainly work, my office will work very closely with any of you in getting you any relevant information and pleadings as they are filed.
Just a question for Superintendent Chang. Are you aware of any parents currently afraid to send their children to school this year because of fear of deportation, and any idea how many dreamers there are within Boston Public Schools?
So, as you heard from Diana and Felipe, our young people come from rich cultures of resilience, and Boston Public Schools will make sure they're safe and welcoming to all students regardless of their immigrant status. Our young people come from 139 different countries. We are rich in diversity, and that is our strength in Boston Public Schools. I do not know of any parents that are concerned, because we have been vigilant about making sure they are welcomed in every single BPS school. We should not have that information, and we should not legally to have that information. We do not hold immigrant status whatsoever. If parents and community want more information, we have our website, which is We Dream Together, and you can come to our BPO's website and be able to link to all resources, 9 different languages, all ready for parents and for students and for community to access.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.